Attend the world's best business workshop led by America's #1 business coach for free by subscribing on iTunes and leaving us an objective review. Claim your tickets by emailing us proof that you did it and your contact information to info@thrivetimeshow.com.
Welcome back to the Thrivetime Show on your radio and podcast download. Now, specifically today, this is just the podcast-only edition of the Thrivetime Show. We've been asked over and over by Thrivers out there, great people just like you. They say, how do I determine my ideal and likely buyers? I mean, how do I know if somebody's the right fit for me or not? And this thought, this idea can get pretty deep. And so I don't want it to become very complicated, but I want to make sure it's very specific, pretty hard-edged, and pretty direct. So what you have to realize is that the majority of the people on the planet are not your ideal and likely buyer.
Say that again, please.
The majority of the people on the planet are not your ideal and likely buyer.
What does that mean exactly?
Well, let's say that you own a soccer facility, and one of our clients trains kids on how to play soccer.
Okay.
I am not your ideal and likely buyer. I dislike soccer. I don't like soccer. I don't appreciate soccer. I am bored by soccer. I don't understand why soccer is a sport.
Are you personally attacking me right now?
I played baseball as a young kid. I do not like baseball. I do not understand baseball. I don't want to understand baseball. But, Chup, you played soccer at the college level.
I did.
And it turns out it is the world's most popular sport.
Right.
But if you're going to market soccer, one of your clients coaches baseball.
True.
And if you're going to market baseball or soccer or basketball or football or anything, you have to know who your ideal and likely buyers are.
Right. I want to jump in because I see this a lot with clients that we work with and just small business owners in general. The mindset, the typical first mindset is I got to cast this huge, massive net over everybody, every single person out there because my service is awesome. It really is. My product is great. And it probably is. But you need a more targeted approach because you're just spreading resources super thin at that level.
So I'm going to read a notable quotable to you from Chet Holmes, the best-selling author of The Ultimate Sales Machine, who once wrote, he says, about 3% of potential buyers at any given time are buying now. 7% of the population is open to the idea of buying. The remaining 90% fall into one of these three categories. The top third are not thinking about it. The next third think that they're not interested. The final third are definitely not interested. Chet Holmes, the best-selling author of The Ultimate Sales Machine.
I'd like to point out that there's a third of them that think they're not interested.
Right.
They just don't realize yet that they're about to buy.
Okay.
They need a little push.
You just think you're not.
A little tap-a-roo.
Well, okay, Steve, you sell mortgages. So what kind of people are absolutely not going to be and never are going to be a good fit for Total Lending Concepts?
Ooh,
on
never.
The spot.
Well,
on the spot.
I don't know about never, but sometimes people have bad habits when it comes to how they buy things and how they pay for things.
I'll give you an example of somebody who would not be a good ideal and likely buyer for you. Me. I don't want to buy another house. I don't like buying houses. I own multiple rent houses, not because it's like something I'm really excited about, but typically if I live in a place and I buy it cheap as part of my process for buying property, I always buy something cheap, and then I'll just hold it. But I don't want to get a mortgage. I don't want to buy other houses. I don't want to buy other properties. And so no amount of marketing to me.
Are you the one third that thinks you're not interested yet? Is this my opportunity now to get you?
No, I like this.
But the rates, Clay, the rates are
going up.
But I want to share this. I want to share this with the listeners out there because there's somebody out there who you're going to spend all your time trying to convince somebody like myself to use your service, when in reality, there's people out there right now that already need your service. There's somebody out there already right now that definitely already needs a mortgage.
Yes.
So, Steve, what kind of person already needs a mortgage?
They already need a mortgage is somebody who doesn't own a home. Maybe they're a renter. Maybe they have a family.
Maybe they're around 20 years old and older.
Yeah, maybe they're.
But they're already convinced they want to buy a house.
Right, that too. Yeah,
home
I'm
buyers.
just saying there's somebody out there who wants to live in a tiny home or wants to stay with their mom and dad. That's fine. But they're not going to be your ideal and likely buyer. So I'm going to read a notable quotable from the best-selling book called Scale by Jeff Hoffman, the former CEO of Priceline. I'll read it to you. He says, as crazy as it seems, most business owners never concretely think about whom they serve and what this target market really wants. He says, as crazy as it seems, most business owners never really concretely think about whom they serve and what this target market really wants. The average owner is so busy marketing, selling, and producing and fulfilling that they never step back and think through precisely whom they serve, much less the deep aspirations, fears, hopes, dreams, and frustrations of their target market. This makes about as much sense as the salesperson who spends all day going door to door selling pool care products in an apartment complex.
Oh, yes.
So we're going to go through the 16 areas you need to think about as you're doing your advertisement. The 16 aspects, there's many more, but there's 16 very, very popular aspects that you want to think about. 16 demographics, 16 nuances to determine who your ideal and likely buyer is. So one is age. Steve, why do you want to think about the age of your ideal and likely buyer? Why don't you just want to run ads to people who are in, there's a nursing home, right?
Right.
But there's also hospice.
Right.
My dad, unfortunately, was in hospice, which means you're terminally ill.
There's
You
also
wouldn't probably.
17-year-olds that have Facebook profiles.
Why would you not want to focus marketing your mailers? Somebody says it's so inexpensive. You should do mailers to terminally ill people in hospice. Steve, why would you not want to do that as a mortgage marketer?
Well, first of all, we can't discriminate on the basis of age. So it's not that we
I'm
discriminate.
not talking about age. I'm talking about terminally ill people regardless of age.
Right. So they're probably not going to buy a house
It's
before
just
they
not
die.
a good fit.
Okay, so
That's the
gender, as an example, Lululemon pants.
Yeah, I
And
have
Chup-
some on right now.
Chup, please list all of these on the show notes here. So for age, as an example, if you are selling mortgages, you don't want to market to people that are in their 90s. This is an idea. Okay? Now, gender. If you're selling Lululemon pants, you don't want to market to dudes. And as a general rule, why, Steve Currington with Total Ending Concepts, would you not want to market your Lululemon pants to dudes?
Well, I was being facetious when I said I had some on right now because I don't know that they might make them for dudes, but it seems more like my 15-year-old daughter wants some Lululemons.
I had some
and not my
audio.
18-year-old son.
I had some audio of Chuff. He doesn't know he mic'd this room before he knew we were recording today.
Right.
This is what Eric Chupp was saying. He goes, I hope that Steve Currington's wearing Lululemon pants because I love how it contours his body.
Oh, yes.
Right.
I'm at a loss for words right now.
I have
Oh,
news
you
for
weren't
you.
earlier.
He said that directly to me as well. when I
I'm
got here.
just saying, though, sincerely, all antagonistic, passive-aggressive comments to Eric Chupp aside. Chupp, seriously, Lululemon pants. Yeah. Why do the people who own a Lululemon store, why would you not want to market to dudes?
Well, you're not going to sell anything, okay?
Right.
The only guys that are coming in there are buying presents for their spouse or girlfriend or whatever the case may be, for the most part. I don't know myself. I haven't shopped at Lululemon. But that being said, most guys aren't going to be reacting to that marketing. They're not looking for that buy one, get one. They're just going to go in there and buy their gift.
Now, we have 16 more to fire through. But as an
14.
example, if you are looking for an emotional, if we have 16 categories, 14 remaining, you are correct. If we're going through the emotional needs, Chup, our business coaching program is not for people that have emotional needs to feel heard or to hang out with a buddy. Yes, we do encourage you. Yes, we're not antagonistic to you as a client, but if you want to grow your business, that's what we help you do.
Well,
if you need a therapist, there are therapists.
Right. That's what they do. And what we do is we hold business owners accountable because there's nobody else holding them accountable. They don't have a boss.
So if you are looking for someone to meet your emotional needs, you would not want the Thrivetime Show to be your coaching system. I want to make sure you're getting this. If you're listening to the show today And yeah, you're a human. You need somebody to support you. I get it. But if your number one need is a therapist, you would not want to work with the Thrivetime Show business coaching program because that's not what we do. There are therapists, Steve Currington. That's what they do.
Well, I know you wouldn't do this on the air on a podcast.
Sure.
Like you wouldn't be encouraging me to stop seeking that emotional help in our meetings, right? You're not telling me like subconsciously, Steve, I'm not your therapist.
I've worked with you for a couple years, right?
It's directly telling you.
I know.
No,
I'm like,
I've worked with you for a couple years, and you know that I'm passionate about helping you grow.
Right.
But if 3/4 of our meetings are spent talking about emotional needs, I'm not going to do it because that's what a therapist is. We help you grow your freaking business. Now, tangible needs. If you're somebody who needs search engine optimization, you need graphic design, you need photography, you need videography, you need someone to manage your online advertisements, you need somebody to help you make a pro forma, you need somebody to help you clarify your core story, you need somebody to help you make sales scripts, you need someone to help you make a workflow, you need somebody to help you improve your meetings. These are things we do. Now, income
Can
level.
I jump in with a shout out to a client? Speaking of
Yes.
improving meetings,
Yes.
I'm working with a guy named Lenny. It's a company's Arrival 3D.
Arrival 3D,
Yeah.
and his name is Lanny.
Lanny Smith.
Lanny!
And shout out to Lanny. He is like a super smart guy, and he's a diligent doer, but he didn't necessarily know the best way to lead a meeting and hold his team accountable. And so we've got him hooked up with the accountability loop. He's doing weekly meetings. He's doing trainings.
Bam!
And over the last few weeks, he's talking to me over the phone like he's a new person. He's just full of confidence and inspiration, and it's awesome to see it because now he's landing like 7 to 10 deals per
we
week.
want to help you emotionally succeed, but we're not. I'm just trying to make sure you're getting this. If the reason why you're signing your kid up for youth football is because they need a psychotherapist, that's not the right move. But your kids do learn certain skills as a result of playing football. Now, the next is income level. Our program, the Thrivetime Show Business Coach Program, costs, Chup, $8.25 per hour is what it costs.
Right.
So let's make sure we put that on the show notes. On average, our average client pays about $1,500 to $1,600 per month. Now, there are businesses that have a detailed pro forma. They have more needs, more things they need. And $2,000 to $2,500 is that next average, okay? There are other people that have multi-brands or multiple sites or multiple locations. They might be $3,000 to $5,000. Paul Hood is an example. He has multiple locations. That's a bigger client. Steve Currington has more locations. Therefore, we're doing more work. But our program will end up costing you. Now, Chup, I want to make sure you put this on the show notes. If you take $8.25 an hour, all right, if you paid someone $8.25 an hour, times 40 hours a week, times 4.3 weeks a month, that's $1,419. $1,419. That's assuming you're not paying them taxes. If you are paying taxes for your employees, which is required by law, then you would actually be spending about $2,000 a month. So our program is designed for people that have about $2,000 a month or less-ish to grow their business. If you don't have $2,000... Now, I want to make sure we get this because when my wife and I built DJConnection.com, we did not have $2,000 extra dollars a month set aside available just to do whatever. So what we decided to do is we decided to get another job. Weird. And so we actually got a job.
Wait, what?
We got a job working at Target and Applebee's. My wife worked at Target. We both worked at Target at the same time. You see, she worked at Target and I worked at Target. And I worked at Applebee's and she worked at Oral Roberts University and I worked at DirecTV. We had multiple jobs. And that's how we generate the extra money needed to afford the $2,000 a month Yellow Page ad, Mr. Chup.
You know what's kind of cool, Clay, is that I kind of view your life through Aubrey's eyes a lot because my parents were entrepreneurs and they grinded like that for my entire childhood. Ground, whatever the word would be.
They grounded.
I remember my mom worked as a bank teller, and I believe she worked at my grandfather's restaurant for a while as she was doing all of the books for my dad's business. When it was wintertime and they couldn't pour concrete, my dad's out clearing snow with his front end loader or chopping wood or just whatever the heck you got to do to not close the doors, right?
You have to do whatever it takes to be successful if you want to be an entrepreneur.
Clay,
if you don't, you could be an employee, and that's cool.
I think some people want to know, like, when you were at Target, was your official position like the public announcement guy?
Over.
Like,
when I did work at Target,
were there any shenanigans?
I will say, when I worked at Target, I just began to develop the mindset I have today. When I first started, I didn't have the mindset. So one of the things I liked to do when I worked at Target when I first started was if my boss ever left the department, I would typically, there's a button you could hit to do they call it an all-call page, but you could make an announcement, and if you hit the right series of buttons, you could make an announcement, and no one would know who made the announcement or from what station the announcement was made. So what I would typically do, instead of thinking about ways to do a better job or to wow the customer or to get better at my job, I would typically think about crazy announcements that I could make that would freak out either my boss or customers in a way that no one could catch me doing
Or
it.
both.
So when my boss would leave my area, I'd hop on the all-call page, and I would hit the button, boop, 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 and I would say, ladies and gentlemen, if you have a four-door vehicle, any vehicle with 4 doors, it's been in a violent accident, a very terrible accident, and we would just like to make sure that you're safe. So please look outside and make sure your car is safe.
There are baboons loose in the parking lot.
And people would run out there and be like, "Oh my gosh, my car has been hit." Or
I do have a 4-door
Or here's another thing I would announce a lot. I'd say, ladies and gentlemen, if you have a credit card with a 16-digit code, any credit card with a 16-digit code, apparently we have a major fraud alert here. Someone's card has been used unauthorized purchases. Please report to the electronics department. And people would like, "Oh my gosh, that's my card." Or another one I would say, this is fun. Ladies and gentlemen, on aisle 4, aisle 4 through 7, that's aisle 4 through 17, 4 through 18, 4 through 19, 4 through 27. We have a gas leak. Some kind of poisonous gaseous material is leaking. Please report to the front to avoid contamination. And people would just like run out.
No way, weird.
And I thought, oh my gosh, this is awesome. And that's why I worked at Target. Because I was a jackass and I couldn't be promoted. Unbelievable. Now, passions. You have to know the passions of your ideal and likely buyers. Move number 8. You have to know the hobbies of your ideal and likely buyers. Number 9, you have to know the interests of your ideal and likely buyers. 10, you have to know the fears. If you don't sit down right now, this is not a metaphorical allegory. You have to write these things down. Write down what are the passions of your ideal and likely buyers. What are the hobbies of your ideal and likely buyers? What are the interests of your ideal and likely buyers? What are the fears of your ideal and likely buyers? We'll put this all in the show notes. But move number 11, you have to determine the hopes of your ideal and likely buyers. Move number 12, you have to determine the dreams of your ideal and likely buyers. Move number 13, you have to determine the frustrations of your ideal and likely buyers. You have to move number 14, write down the aspirations of your ideal and likely buyers. 15, you have to write down the industry of your ideal and likely buyers. And 16, homie, you've got to write down the educational level of your ideal and likely buyers. And if you're wanting to just go on a rant, you've got to determine the music interests of your ideal and likely buyers. You have to determine the price point of your ideal and likely
Walmart
buyers.
Or not?
This is a thought, because if you go to Utica in, we'll say downtown-ish Tulsa, midtown Tulsa,
right,
you're going to discover that all of the stores there, Coach, Starbucks, Williams-Sonoma, they charge a premium service because the people that shop there would not want to shop there if the people that were shopping at a discount store showed up.
Right.
They've priced themselves to be exclusive.
Right. That's
Chuck,
the way they do it.
Talk about that.
Well, you got to think about it. That's kind of one of these other things. Where? Did we put where on the list? Where are your ideal and likely buyers?
Where are your geographically? Where are these?
Clay, that's my problem. I can't find them. You know what I'm saying?
They're nowhere to be found. No, this Utica Square area you're talking about in Tulsa, it would not be a good idea to send discount advertising, mailers with huge discounts and price decreases to these clientele, because they don't care about that. They're shopping for the prestige. They want that barrier to entry for other clientele because the price is too high.
If you do not take the time to sit down and define your ideal and likely buyer, you're going to end up having clients that you don't want to work with.
Oh,
now,
that's
occasionally,
huge.
one will sneak in, and I'd like to tell you what it looks like when I fire a client at Thrive. So today it happened.
Really?
And we had a member of the former Thrive Nation who said, "Hey, I hear that you guys are awesome about getting clients to the top of Google." I said, "This is true. Steve, it's a friend. It's a former friend. It's a guy you know, an acquaintance." And he says, "Okay, I hear that you guys can get people to the top of Google." Cool. "Hey, I hear you guys manage the ads." That's true. "I hear you guys can make calls for people." Boom. "I hear you guys can make scripts." Boom. "I hear you guys can help a company grow." Boom. But If you are listening right now and you want to grow your business and you do not want to, A, record your calls, if you don't want to record your calls, then it's impossible for us to provide you feedback on how you can improve your calls. Because if you don't record your calls, we can't know what you're doing, either good or bad, on your calls. So you've got to record your calls if you want to improve your calls. Yeah. 2, if you want to sell more, you have to actually you have to call your leads.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute.
3. Now, these
weird.
are rules. You do need to show up to your meetings because we have a once-a-week meeting with our clients. If you are a member of the Thrive Nation, you're a client of ours, we have to meet each week at the same time every week. Now, what's crazy is if you don't meet each week, we can't help you, because if you're not there, we can't help you.
Right.
Either on the phone or in person. You have to show up at your meeting. You can't just pay $8.25 an hour and have us actually somehow through osmosis pull the information out of your cranium.
That's like having an employee that you pay.
So let's
but you
review
don't give them any direction.
Let's review the 3 moves.
Right.
Here. 1, you actually have to call your leads if the leads come in. It's crazy.
Hold up.
Hey.
Marshall Morris and Steve Currington put together a book on this.
Oh, wow.
Called Call Your Leads.
Yeah, just a little plug there. If you can find it on Amazon. My mom read it. She said it was awesome.
I want to make sure the Thrive Nation gets this, though. I want to make sure you get this, okay? 1, you have to actually call your leads if the leads come in, okay? You have to do it. 2, we have a weekly meeting. You have to actually show up to the meeting. And 3, if you're wanting us to improve your quality of your calls, you have to record the calls.
Yep.
Now, little side moves, little bonus moves that this person could have done. If you're going to get higher in Google, I can't get reviews for you from your ideal and likely buyers. I can't do it. I can't do it for you. I can't show up on time for you. I can't record the calls for you. We can show you what to do, but you got to do that, right? So today, the client shows up to the meeting and they said, gosh, I just feel like I'm not getting the progress that I'm looking for. And I said, well, this is like probably the 16th or 18th week in a row where I've said, you got to record your calls, because if you don't record your calls, I can't help you. Furthermore, you have to call your leads. Probably a bigger concern is you actually have to call the leads. And if you don't call your leads,
You can't record the calls.
then you can't actually sell more. You've got to record the calls. You got to call the calls. And the guy says, well, the whole reason that I wanted to hire you guys is so I could achieve time freedom. And I said, you can't achieve time freedom if you can't delegate your calls. And you can't delegate your calls if you don't actually record your calls. And you can't hire people if you're not willing to interview people every week. And so these are all things you have to do. It would be like hiring a personal trainer and not actually working out and then saying you're not getting the results you want. It would be like booking a dinner reservation and not actually showing up but complaining about the food quality. It would be like buying a movie ticket and saying you didn't like the movie but not showing up to the movie. It would be like hiring a prostitute and then not actually engaging in relations and complaining about the service.
I was gonna make a what are the braces? What do you call the braces?
Hiring an orthodontist, and not putting the braces on your teeth,
plucking them off. Right.
I'm trying to give you polarizing ideas because they're all. It'd be like going to church saying, I'm not happy with the pastor's service, but not actually sitting in the church. It would be like complaining about the quality of the beer, but not having taken a sip of the beer. It would be like complaining about the resort that you went to, but you never actually showed up.
It'd be like complaining about the gas that the gas station has, but you didn't put it in your car.
It would be like complaining about the quality of your relationship and saying that you've never actually met the person. It would be like saying that your kids don't really like the youth group, but you've never sent your kids to the youth group. It would be like...
I'm kind of not a big fan of the Lamborghini, even though I've never driven one.
The point is, we now know at the Thrive Nation who our ideal and likely buyer is. And I'm going to go ahead and define it for you right now, so that way you would know whether we're a good fit or not. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to just write it out here for you, Chuck, and we're going to go through all 16 of these, and please feel free to try to keep up and write the narrative, okay? If you're somebody under the age of 60, you would like the Thrivetime Show program because it will require work, and unless you're a very energetic person over the age of 60, you wouldn't like the program. If you're over the age of 60, you probably wouldn't like it unless you're energetic. 2, female or male, you're going to like the program if you are somebody focused on growth. 3, If you're somebody who's not in need of a therapist, but you are in need of accountability and a little bit of mentorship, we can help you. If you need mentorship or accountability, we can help you.
Boom.
If you need a therapist because you're having psychological problems with your husband or your kids, I can't help you. The next, tangible needs. If you need somebody to help you optimize your website, build the print pieces, the graphic design, do the things needed to grow your business, you're going to love the program. If you can't afford to have all these people full-time, you're going to love the program. If you have at least $8.25 per hour available to hire a full-time team to help you, you would like our program. If you have goals to grow your business, you would like our program. If you don't have goals to grow your business, then you wouldn't like our program. You're not going to like it if you just want a business buddy. Passions. If you actually are in tune with the passions of your ideal and likely buyers, then you would like our program. Hobbies. If your business is just a hobby and you don't actually want to make it grow, you would not like our program. Interests. If you're interested in growing your business, you would like our program. Fears. If you're afraid of going into bankruptcy as a result of your business not working, you'd probably like our programs. Hopes. If you hope to have time freedom. Dreams. If you dream of having time freedom and financial freedom, you would love our program. Frustrations. If you are frustrated with the status quo and just being a Joe Schmo, if you want to actually move beyond just surviving and you want to begin surviving, then you would love our program. Industry. If you have a business that's a real business that offers a real product or a real service that solves a real problem for your ideal and likely buyers, then you would like our service. Musical interests. Whatever music you're into, you would like our program because we help you build a successful company and you can listen to whatever music you want.
It helps if you like R&B.
If you like R&B, you'd like our conferences. Okay. Now, price point. If you're somebody who understands the price point you want to charge your ideal and likely buyers, you would like our program. If you can afford up to $1,500 a month, we have a scholarship program where for close to $1,000 a month. If you have only an extra $1,000 a month, we can help you grow your business. And a zip code. If you are in a time zone that allows us to have a phone call with you during the hours of 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., Monday through Thursday, we can work with you. If you are based in a time zone that does not work with that, then you probably wouldn't like us. But that, Chup, and I just think there's somebody out there that needs to get that, because I think what happens is you're out there building a church and you are trying to convince avid supporters of the jihad movement to like your sermon.
Right.
It ain't going to work.
They're not going to do it.
No.
You're somebody who is definitely in favor of the sanctity of marriage, and you're trying to convince an active prostitute to endorse your last sermon about virginity. It's not going to work. You're somebody who's you're speaking at the Democratic National Convention, and you're trying to convince them that to have a low tax, very pro-individual, very limited government mindset is the way to go. It's not going to go over at the DNC. If you're trying to give a very pro-government, very much, hey, the government needs to take care of you from the cradle to the grave, that's not going to go over well at the Republican convention. You just have to know who your ideal and likely buyers are. Chuck, am I missing something?
No, and like I said at the beginning of the podcast here, it's as you're a small business and you're growing, you have to pay attention to those resources. And if you're throwing that huge net out there just trying to gather anybody and everybody, that's not the move. You're going to end up wasting time and wasting money.
So Thrive Nation, we'd love to help you and the people you know, but we can't help them and we can't help you unless we interact with you. So I'm going to give you 4 ways that we can help you today. Way number 1, you could go to thrivetimeshow.com and book your ticket for our next in-person workshop. If you say to yourself, I cannot afford the airfare and the cost to attend the workshop, all you have to do is subscribe to the Thrivetime Show on iTunes. Leave us an objective review. And send us proof that you did it to info@thrivetimeshow.com, and we'll give you 2 free tickets valued at $500, $250 per ticket, and 2 copies of the Boom Book. So you're getting $530 of free stuff too.
It's like a double boom.
A double boom. Boom. Then we also have one-on-one business coaching, and if you have an extra $8.25 per hour in your pocket, and you want to grow your business, your existing company, or a startup, then you can reach out to us at thrivetimeshow.com. We'll schedule a one-on-one consultation. 3, Chup, we have a video library with thousands and thousands of video trainings from world-class mentors.
So good.
It's only $1 for the first month.
You got to learn from mentors, not mistakes.
Kind of a no-brainer.
And the final thing we could do is we have the podcast. You can subscribe, and it's unlimited podcasts, all for free. All you got to do is have a smartphone or some kind of digital device. You can subscribe to the Thrive Time Show for free.
That's right.
And now, Chup, without any further ado, we always like to end this show with a 3 and a 2 and a 1. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, boom! And one last thing before you go. At our workshops, I keep running into thousands of people that have told me, man, I wish I would have known that this podcast existed 2 years ago, one divorce ago, one failed business ago, because now everything is just clicking. And whenever they tell me that, I'm so excited that that's their reality, but also I feel like we missed the boat and maybe not marketing the product fast enough or effectively enough. And so if you have been blessed or encouraged or you learned something today from this podcast, I would humbly ask you a favor. If you could share this podcast with just one friend, it might just mean the world to them, but it definitely would mean the world to me. And some people say, well, how do I share it? When you go to thrivetimeshow.com, there's a little, when you go to the podcast button, there's a share button that you can click, and you can share it on Facebook or Twitter, or email it to a friend or text it to somebody. But we greatly appreciate you, Thrive Nation, and hopefully we can meet in person at one of our upcoming Thrive Time Show workshops. And since technically we've already ended the show, I'm just going to end the show with a minor boom. So 3, 2, 1.